to hear about the trends in how businesses are using and consuming technology, such as security, networking, storage, and how they're adding new technologies such as the Internet of Things or IoT and cloud. I think we're also going to explore new business models that our partners are adopting, such as the cloud recurring revenue models, the consumption or as a service model, and some innovative ways that we're helping businesses to use financing to manage their cash flow, which can also be challenged by some of these new business models.
Want to expand the reach of your content? Start a podcast. Feature industry experts on your show and leverage the influence and reach of your guests to grow your brand. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
Welcome to the introductory episode of B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro is a podcast where you, the listener, can stay connected to the next big things in tech before they become mainstream. Whether you're an IT professional, computer science student, or CIO, our podcast will bring you the information you need to stay relevant and be successful in the tech industry. Whether it's the Internet of Things, cloud evolution, augmented reality, the future of artificial intelligence, improving ROI, or more, you've come to the right place. We're here today with Kirk Robinson. Kirk is Chief Country Executive for the United States for Ingram Micro. Kirk, how's it going today?
I'm doing awesome, Ralph. Thanks for asking.
No problem. Glad to have you on. My name is Ralph Miranda. I'm your host of B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. I'll be moderating the discussions that we're going to have in future episodes. Today, I'll be talking to Kirk about the role that Ingram Micro plays in being an indispensable business partner to the IT industry and how this podcast will unlock the many ways that we help our partners to imagine what's next for their businesses. But before we jump into that, Kirk, tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role as Chief Country Executive comprises at Ingram Micro.
Sure thing. So I've been with Ingram 26 years, and that's covered a lot of positions, but mostly in sales, marketing, vendor management, and also leading our business intelligence team. Right now, I lead our U.S. business, which spreads across 11 offices and more than 6 advanced logistics centers that are delivering technology to people's doorsteps every day. Currently, we're servicing more than 40,000 partners, or customers as we call them, in the U.S., and thousands of technology manufacturers, software developers, cloud providers, and also service providers. But just to give you some background, our partners consist of companies that sell, service, and implement technology into the millions of businesses in the U.S., and those retail, online, and brick and mortar shops that also sell technology to businesses and individuals. And I really feel strongly, Ralph, that it's about our people. Every Ingram Micro associate plays a critical role in how we're servicing and supporting our customers. In fact, in my 26 years, I think it's really our people who have set us apart, and the reason why Ingram's been ranked as the #1 distribution partner in the U.S. for so many years.
That's excellent. Excellent. Kirk, the corporate vision of your company is that with Ingram Micro, the world will realize the promise of technology. Tell us a little bit about Ingram Micro and how you're attempting to realize that vision on a daily basis.
Yeah, I would tell you we do it in a number of ways, but first and foremost is our focus on our customer. We're relentless about focusing on the customers and their needs. Secondly, we built a strategy around giving our partners our best every day, and it's really centered around 3 pillars. The first is operational excellence. As you would imagine, there's a lot of back office and behind the scenes coordination that's required to transact the technology, create the solutions, and get the technology to where it needs to be for our partners to do what they do best, and that's connecting it all and making it work for the businesses they're serving. The second pillar is innovation. Nothing and no one stands still in the tech business. It's moving 100 miles an hour at all times. So our team's responsible for finding the new ways to make that business easier for our partners in terms of learning and selling new technologies like cloud or artificial intelligence, even security in the light of the danger of cybersecurity breaches. And we're also building programs for financing, marketing, and insight into where new technology sales can be happening with our business intelligence services. And I've had the opportunity to run that BI, and I think it's another area that separates Ingram. We've been doing this for well over a decade and have built out a global team of folks that really help us look deeply into the trends and the purchasing habits of our partners and their end users. The third pillar is experience, and that's really about the associate experience and how they feel working at Ingram Micro and learning and developing their careers. And as I mentioned at the beginning, our customer experience. How can we have a relentless focus on the customer experience, what their needs are, and how we deliver? And finally, we're always encouraging everyone to get out of the comfort zone and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. The rate of change in this industry is like no other. So if you're comfortable, it means you're getting run over. So what we found is a way to get comfortable with being uncomfortable every day.
So, Kirk, how do you envision this podcast helping the B2B tech community of organizations as well as others that might be involved in the industry?
Well, the way I look at it, we've got relationships with thousands of different businesses who are working together to bring that technology to the businesses that need it. This podcast can provide a window into what we see and hear on a daily basis. It can also give a voice to the many associates inside Ingram Micro and to our partners with whom they work to share new ideas, discuss new business opportunities, and exchange those stories about what they've learned.
So given that, then what can listeners expect to hear in the way of topics and information that could be vital to their efforts in this field?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think the beauty and the fun of our industry is it's always changing. So I guess we'll find out exactly what unfolds on future podcasts. But in all seriousness, I think the listeners are going to have an opportunity to hear about the trends in how businesses are using and consuming technology, such as security, networking, storage, and how they're adding new technologies such as the Internet of Things or IoT and cloud. I think we're also going to explore new business models that our partners are adopting, such as the cloud recurring revenue models, the consumption or as a service model, and some innovative ways that we're helping businesses to use financing to manage their cash flow, which can also be challenged by some of these new business models. And we also have extensive training and technology enablement resources that are available to help partners get up to speed more quickly or to use and plug into their team as if they were their own employees.
Kirk, as we mentioned earlier, Ingram Micro helps businesses realize the promise of technology. And the company delivers a full spectrum of global technology and supply chain services to businesses around the world. Deep expertise in technology solutions, mobility, cloud, supply chain solutions enable its business partners to operate efficiently and successfully in the markets they serve. You all have an unrivaled agility and deep market insights and the trust and dependability that come from, the 40 years of proven relationships that set you apart and set you ahead. So drawing on the wealth of all that experience, and especially the experience that you have logged, what are some of the key issues companies face as they try and master the spectrum of technology in today's digital marketplace? And what are some key ways that your company can assist them in this effort?
Yeah, good question. I think what stands out to me is the digital transformation and the investment that many companies are making into modernizing their systems, their practices, and their processes. It's truly significant, and it's not easy. So our technology partners and the manufacturers, software developers, and cloud providers are finding ways that they need to work together to help those businesses make the technologies that they purchase work better for their companies. Where Ingram steps in, we're the giant aggregator of all these experts and capabilities that give the individual tech companies a community that they can tap into to do more than they can do on their own. And I'll give you an example, 2 communities. Our SMB community, or small to mid-sized companies. We've had a focus on SMB for over 20 years, and we have a community that brings these partners together to share success stories, to look at challenges together, and to really work with each other and our manufacturers on how they can solve those needs with Ingram as a backbone. We also have a community TrustX Alliance, which has been together over 20 years. And this is an interesting group. It's really a mid-sized to large group in the US, Canada, the UK, and we're looking at other areas around the globe to continue to grow this. And it's a similar story. It's where our partners come together, and what they learn is the more they open up and share with other partners at these events, they get back 100-fold. And when you have Ingram Micro and the leading manufacturers coming together with these partners, they're unstoppable. And it's been a lot of fun to watch over the years. And I think the one phrase I may have mentioned earlier is they learn that they can do more together than they could ever do on their own.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that wraps it up for our introductory episode. And I'm sure that there's many listeners out there who may have ideas for future topics or comments on some of the topics they hear, or just questions in general for Ingram Micro. And if they do, they can contact Ingram Micro at emarketing@ingrammicro.com. Let me say that one more time. emarketing, one word, @ingrammicro.com. Kirk, thank you so much. I'm really excited to see this show grow. I think it's going to add exponential value to our listeners in a growing and yet very challenging industry. Any final thoughts?
Well, I appreciate the time, Ralph. One of the challenges at Ingram is always getting the word out on all the great things we can do for our partners, customers, and our vendors. So I appreciate the platform and the opportunity to share our thoughts.
We totally get it. We publish a ton of content on this podcast, and it can be a lot to keep up with. That's why we've started the B2B Growth Big Three, a no-fluff email that boils down our 3 biggest takeaways from an entire week of episodes. Sign up today at sweetfishmedia.com/big3. That's sweetfishmedia.com/big3.